This is a Browning 380. Bill pressed it against his head and blew his brains out. See, he loved little boys. It was a deep, dark, filthy secret of his, one that remained buried for so many years. But when you dig, you shovel dirt, and what was once beneath the surface comes to light. Bill Conrad hated the light, and now, in eternal darkness, he rests. Welcome to The Untold Truth, Episode 2. Our journey into the world of predator catchers continues. To understand what transpired with Bill, we must rewind like an old VHS tape and start from the beginning. The last episode introduced us to Xavier Von Rick and Frank Fencepost. Enter Chris Hansen. Chris Hansen, a legendary American journalist, is known for exposing predators that prey on children. But long before he found fame, he found success. The Chicago-born and Michigan-raised legend dreamed of becoming a journalist since 14. In 1981, he landed a job as a reporter for an NBC affiliate while in his senior year of college. Eventually, he found a warm home at NBC in the early 1990s. He covered the Columbine High Massacre, the Oklahoma City bombing, the Unabomber, 9/11, you name it. But his rise to fame wasn't until he hosted the controversial television series To Catch a Predator by Dateline NBC in 2004, originally titled Dangerous Wib. The television series showcased losers and dejects that were hoping to score with children. These sick individuals were catfished by perverted justice and tricked into visiting a house that they believed had a child in it for sex. But there was no child, just Chris Hansen and a bunch of hidden cameramen. Chris Hansen would interrogate these creeps, and eventually, the cameramen would reveal themselves and true devastation kicked in for the predators. After the second episode, these weirdos were arrested by the police when shamefully exiting the house. Consider this conversation by Mr. Scumbag Jason, we'll call him, who believes he's talking to a 13-year-old girl. What else is sexy to you? Tats. I have 2 inside my arm. Will you kiss them for me? As time went on, success grew. Xavier Von Rick was making a good chunk of change, Chris Hansen was banking it, and pedophiles were getting locked up. But eventually, something was bound to go wrong. Fast forward to late 2006, to one particular predator that perverted justice was reeling in. Will, a 19-year-old university student who went by the username INXS00. Will loved talking to Luke, a fake 13-year-old boy who lived at home with his parents and walked dogs to make extra cash. Will wanted his nudes. He wanted sex. He wanted it all. After a couple of weeks of hitting it off, Chris Hansen and the crew wanted to take it to the next level. They hired a voice actor to play Luke, and on November 4th, 2006, he talked to Will on the phone. They now had Will's username, Will's email, and Will's phone number. Perverted Justice hit up Google and did some researching. Turns out, Will wasn't 19 at all. In fact, Will wasn't even Will. The catfish were getting catfished by Bill Conrad, the 56-year-old man who blew his brains out all over the floor the next day. Bill never married. He lived a lonely, sad, and empty life in his childhood home with no one but a mini schnauzer. But professionally, he had a jam-packed, fulfilling career. See, this 56-year-old Texas man was the assistant district attorney of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. This is an area in Texas covering many cities and has one of the largest populations in the United States. Bill was no joke. Chris Hansen and the Perverted Justice team knew they hit gold. They knew Bill Conrad was a big fish, and they were about to catch him like a horny swordfish swimming into the trawls of public shame and humiliation. But for some reason, Bill suddenly stopped responding and deleted his MySpace profile. He did this on the same day he spoke to the fake 13-year-old boy on the phone. Bill knew something was up. But how? We don't know. But if Bill wasn't going to go to them, then they were going to go to him. The police got a search warrant, an arrest warrant, and the next day in the afternoon, on November 5th, 2006, they headed over to Bill's house. Chris Hansen and the crew arrived earlier in the day. They camped out near Bill's property, hoping to catch him off guard, but never did. The police entered the property. Bill's dog started barking from inside the house. The police sergeant buzzed the door, but it made no sound. He knocked. No one answered. He turned the doorknob. It didn't open. So as any well-respected police sergeant would do to beef up things for television, he rang up SWAT. The big boys were coming. When the SWAT team arrived, they entered the backyard by leaping a chain-link fence. They approached the sliding glass door, but it was, of course, locked. The team leader used the Halligan bar and forced their way in. They entered a dim room, illuminated by the screen of a laptop. There was no one there. The SWAT team flew into the next room, a dining area. Again, no one there. The team split up. Half of them went straight, and the other half took a left down a long hallway. At the end of the hallway was an open door. Bill Conrad stepped into view, wearing black slacks and a colored shirt. He looked straight ahead and then stepped back into the dark room. Do you feel the water slowly getting warmer? I'm not going to hurt anyone, Bill uttered, and then pushed a gun against his temple, blowing his brains out all over the brick-layered floor. Bill knew. He knew his career was over, and he had nothing to look forward to but an empty house and a mini schnauzer, and a sister who went on to file a wrongful death lawsuit against NBC and settled out of court for an undisclosed amount of money. But how did Bill know? Was he tipped off? Or did he figure things out all on his own? We'll never know, for obvious reasons. A few months later, on the 20th of February 2007, NBC aired the episode detailing these events, but advertisers pulled their sponsorship because of the suicide, and To Catch a Predator came to an end. Xavier Von Rick and the Perverted Justice crew continued on solo, doing what they did best until their retirement in 2019. Chris Hansen stayed with NBC, hosting spin-offs such as To Catch a Con Man, To Catch an ID Thief, and if that wasn't milking it enough, To Catch an Eyejacker, exposing iPod thieves. Hansen felt bad about what happened with Bill, but as he told an interviewer, and I quote, "If you're asking, do I feel responsible? No, I sleep well at night." And sleep well he did, but not for long. Bill Conrad wasn't the only one with a dirty little secret. You see this girl? Her name's Kristen Cadell, and she was Chris's side hoe. But she didn't know it. Chris lied to both his dedicated wife of nearly 30 years and also to his newfound love interest, whom was a 30-year-old journalist from Florida. He lied to his wife, Mary Joanne, by cheating, and lied to his side hoe, Kristen, by pretending his marriage was coming to an end. But he had zero intentions of divorce. Their affair lasted 4 months. Mary Joanne eventually figured out the truth, but tried to fix the marriage over the next several years. But to no avail. Mary Joanne filed for divorce in 2020, and Chris Hansen married again in 2021 to a girl named Gabrielle that he met at a bar. To be fair, the paparazzi claim that Mary Joanne and Chris Hansen split up long before the divorce. Chris Hansen's NBC contract ended in 2013, 2 years after his affair. Rumor has it that his infidelity cost him his career because NBC refused to renew his contract despite him having been at the company for over 20 years. He continued on, but with mediocre success and financial ruin. In 2019, he was arrested for buying $13,000 worth of promotional items with a bad check. But that was the least of his problems. He owed over $1 million to U.S. Bank Trust, $126,000 to TD Bank, and he owed $250,000 in back taxes. But this wasn't the end of him. After getting kicked out of NBC, he hosted the true crime documentary Killer Instinct. He even rebooted To Catch a Predator, but under a different name, no doubt for legal purposes. It was a 2015 online series called Hansen vs. Predator. He now runs his own true crime streaming service, True Blue, and has yet again rebooted To Catch a Predator, this time calling it Takedown with Chris Hansen. And there you have it. Perverted justice is over. To Catch a Predator is over. But there are many untold truths left to tell. In the years following, a slew of online content creators emerged that carried on the flame. In the next episode, our journey continues.